Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, it's Matt Bailey here, your branch director for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, and we're heading into May. Now, May 2023, like May's months from years prior, is of course the festival month. It's the Whisky Festival month across Scotland. It's the month where across Scotland, each of the regions in Scotch whisky making celebrate their unique identity, their regionality, and the flavours of whisky that come out of those regions. As you'll read in May Outturn, I in the past have often, I think I've been a bit sort of dismissive of regions at times and thinking that they're not as important as they used to be. I'm coming around to the other way of thinking about that more recently, in that it's actually quite important for each region to celebrate what they do differently. So across Scotland, there's a number of regions which we're going to delve into in these videos, and we're going to start with the Lowland Festival. Now, these whisky festivals started with, of course, Fèisill, the Islay Festival, which was a celebration of music and malts across Islay. And it's a time when Islay, when it traditionally has, I think, something like 600 residents at any other given time of the year, suddenly explodes to 8,000 people on the island. Don't quote me on those numbers. But it's a time when it's a huge celebration of the distilleries, the people, the place, and everything coming together with all the musicians and all the distillers celebrating great whiskey. And over the years, that's expanded into Speyside Festival, Highland Festival, Campbeltown Festival, and Lowland Festival. Lowland Festival is definitely one of the more newer ones, but then again, there's a lot happening in the Lowlands at the moment in Scotland, which is extremely exciting. New distilleries, old distilleries being reawoken, if you like. And in this case of where we've gone with the society, G16, rare release, G16, a new code, and the first time we've ever seen this as a new code as well. So this is sort of before G16.1, but it's the rare release series, which means it's a single batch of whiskies, in this case a single grain, single malt. It's not a single cask, but what it is, it's a homogenized single malt from one distillery. In the case of this G16, it's something that our own team worked closely with this distillery in Glasgow to produce. And so I'm going to open this. This is the first time opening it. Let's have a smell and taste of G16 Dark and Stormy Crème Brûlée. Now, not only is this the Lowland Festival whiskey for 2023, the official Lowland Festival whiskey, but it's also, like I say, first new code for us as well. But it's also been built by our team back in 2016. So I'm just going to pour just a little bit of that. So new distillery, new code, and first time we're celebrating properly at the Society, the Lowland Festival. You know, when I joined the Society on the team back in 2015, I just missed the 2015 festivals, but in 2016 we only had one festival release, which some members may remember as 127.44 Cantina Mexicana, which is the archive bottling for this month at Whisky Alement in Melbourne at 270 Russell Street, which is now, as of today, open 7 days a week, back to trading on Mondays as well. Wow. Now this is a very heavy maize corn rye base, and it's a young grain whiskey. So those who know how good grain can be will know what we're venturing into here. Bottled at 50% ABV, which is sort of a nod to the bottled in bond 50%, so a nice full strength here. It's very sweet straight away. It's very bourbony. It's like to imagine what this whiskey could be from your side of the screen might be to say, it's like what would happen if you distilled bourbon in Scotland. Let's have a taste. That's super balanced. There's a creaminess to it, definitely creme brulee. That sort of very heavily char wood, very mouth coating, and lots of fun. That is a fun sort of almost dessert-like whiskey. I mean, creme brulee is a dessert, so that makes sense. Dark and stormy, like the cocktail. There's a lot going on in that glass. This is to celebrate our Lowland Festival coming out in May. For the first week of May, we're sticking with Lowland Festival and the non-festival releases, as well as the Highland Festival, which we're going to crack onto now. So here we go. Moving on to the next whiskey, we're going to celebrate the Highland Festival, deep, rich and dried fruits. We're still in the rare releases for May this month. This is called Bake Off. For those fans of the Great British Bake Off, maybe this might be a cool title for you. Distillery 68 rare release. So I know that society members are starting to cotton onto how good 68s are. They're starting to see what the flavour of these whiskies are a bit like. There's that. It's often well known for its nutty, rich aromas. Ooh, amazing. I was not expecting that. Like, immediately, like caramel chews, baking spices, soft chocolate syrup, hazelnut, Nutella. Ooh, okay, I was not ready for this. This is definitely deep, rich and dried fruits, and I think very deservedly so. For these rare releases, as I mentioned just before with the Lowland release, these are not single casks, these are single malts. So they're all from one distillery, all from Distillery 8, but it's a small batch of casks that have come together to create something much more representative of the style of that region. In this case, the Highland region. I often find Highland whiskies to be a bit more, if I was talking really generally about regionality and flavour for a second, I find Highland whiskies often tend to be a bit more, I guess, pretty wide on the spectrum of flavour, in that you can find sweet ones and nutty ones and really savoury, often biscuity notes in some of the Highland whiskies. Whereas in Speyside whiskies, yes, you'll find that as well. But I find Speyside whiskies can often be a little bit sweeter. I don't know, and sometimes if I see a Highland whiskey coming through that's matured out of a hogshead or something, that's often quite exciting. Yeah, it's got this lovely sort of nutty, sweet Nutella, chocolate paste, like rich brownies. There's definitely a nice sherry influence there, but it's not very sherried, if that makes sense. It's picked up the sweetness from the sherry cask, but it's not very wine or sherry driven at all. The distillate's just shining through beautifully on that. It's 14 years old, this one. 14 years old in the deep, rich and dried fruits, and part of our Flavour Hunters Festival, the official releases from us on the all the festivals across Scotland. Yeah, it's hugely drinkable. I think I might try and hunt one of these down for myself. That's extremely nice, and a really good representation of the Highland Festival. If you like those sort of rich, honey, nutty, biscuity kind of sweet notes out of this one, like a sweet brownie biscuit of some description, an absolute one to chase down. Here we go for the Hunters Festival, here we go for Fèis, here we go for all the Speyside festivals coming up in a moment. But before we do move into all these other festivals, we have got one release this year from Campbeltown Festival, which we might crack onto now. So, the third festival release in this video that I want to touch on, of course, is our release from the Campbeltown Festival. There's 3 distilleries currently operating in the Campbeltown region. It is a region of Scotch whisky making. Islands is not a Scotch whisky region, just to put that at rest. That's why if you see a distillery 4 with the word Highland on it, it is because it's part of the Highlands. It's not part of a region called Islands, which is not really a region. But recognised as a region is the Campbeltown region. It's an area of Scotland that used to have a lot of distilling going on in it. And I'm talking like, hundreds of years ago. Up until, and now it's currently 3 distilleries, although there's a 4th distillery currently being built in the area. Distillery 93 is already known and loved by members. So that's this case, it's Distillery 93 rare release, lock, stock, and 2 smoking funnels, which is of course a very cool little lock stock reference going on there to those who are fans of the film. I know Adam is. So we're going to pour just a smidge of this one, just have a smell and taste of this Distillery 93. I've said before that the younger releases from 93 and the older ones are 2 totally different beasts when it comes to how they come out from the society. These younger ones often carry this lovely, like, herbal liqueur, dry, like, tarry rope smoke. Smoking funnel is a really good phrase for this one. It's got that sort of like, almost like chimney soot going on in the nose. like black chimney soot. This is the kind of whiskey that transports you to Campbeltown. It actually smells and tastes like the sea air, like the port, the docks, the whole area around Campbeltown. This is what it smells like to me, and I have vivid memories from being in Campbeltown and drinking this kind of whiskey. It's got that lovely sort of like farmyard funkiness to it as well, like smoked hay bales and farmyard engine equipment and that sort of like bit of motor oil and grease. Smells like working on your motorbike on a Sunday morning kind of vibe. Let's have a taste. That's full power. That's lovely. That is full power. 60.2% natural cask strength, distillery 93 rare release, in the lightly peated profile. Lock, stock, and 2 smoking funnels. That's a fun release. There's not many of these to go around actually for the whole world. So there's each release, like for instance, this one says an Outturn. This is one of 1,276. Sounds like a lot, but then you remember that the society has around 40,000 members in the world, and we're lucky to have punched well above our weight for Australian branch of getting these releases in. Not just a nice allocation of each, but at the same time as the festivals are happening in Scotland. So I hope you can join me in coming around to the festival releases this month, coming to the festival, of course, experiences in your state and city. And of course, we've got 2 huge virtuals this month. You can join me for the Ambassador Selection, which is 5 that I've picked out of the 10 different festival releases this month. And of course, you could go with the smaller pack, the 5, but we're also doing a festival pack of the whole 10. So 10 30ml samples of every festival release in it. That in itself is cool. That it might even be a collectible as far as I know, because no other branch I think is doing that. But this is a really exciting way for us to share these festival releases around and have a dram with you. So cheers, Slanger.